Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we have 113 cards being buffed for Wild in the whole Caverns of Time Wild only expansion, also Twist, which is Wild based format. And we're gonna go over every single buff and my reaction to some that just I do not understand why they're buffing. I'll give basically a quick opener that I think most of these cards are being changed more in line for Twist than Wild. I think Wild's taking a backseat to Twist, and the power level of Wild going up, which is something I don't think almost anybody has asked for, is happening to make Twist a more fun and viable experience, is what I am getting from this, because a lot of these cards are gonna be like, they're already playable, or they're just not gonna see play in Wild. So we're gonna go through all of them. There's a ton, so I'm gonna try and keep it as brief as possible. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, it's put a long time to put together. If you enjoyed this video, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a ton. And starting off with the Druid cards, we have Jade Behemoth going from 6 mana to 5 mana. Not bad. Jade Druid has sucked forever. In Wild, pretty irrelevant, but maybe in Twist it might, you know, be okay because it did see play back in the day. Dark Arakoa now gives +4/+4 to your Cthulhu rather than +3/+3. This was in World Championship decks back in the time. So again, I think this will be relevant in Twist, but again, in Wild, not so much. And the Wild costs 1 less for each beast you summon in this game. It doesn't need to be in your hand anymore. This actually saw play in Beast Druid pretty recently, so this probably sees play in Wild. In those aggressive token beast decks, and could see play in Twist, that is for sure. Menagerie Warden buffed again, this time to 5 attack and 4 health, and yeah, it's a decent card on Stranglethorn Tiger in those old formats. Still too slow for the current game. Mire Keeper is now a 3/4, was good in the old days, won't be relevant in Wild, but in Twist I could see it seeing play. Vermin Sensei is a 4 mana 4/4, give a friendly beast +3/+3 instead. I think it was a 5 mana 4/5. Not bad. Again, will probably be more Twist centric, but this card never saw play back in the day, so cool change. Adel Grizzly is now a 2 mana 2/3. After you summon a beast, give it +1/+1. No longer a 3 mana 2/2. Still probably not good enough, but probably in Twist it's got a shot. Claxy Amber Weaver has taunt now, so basically you can have a gigantic taunt if your Cthulhu is +10 attack. In Wild, completely unplayable because Cthulhu unplayable unless these new Cthulhu support cards. We'll go over the new cards when all the new cards are revealed. There were 3 already revealed, including 1 Cthulhu card. It's not moving the needle in Wild, but in Twist, absolutely. Malorn has Death Rattle go dormant, revive after 2 friendly beasts die. This actually fundamentally changes the card. It's no longer anti-fatigue infinite value. It's just a really annoying minion to get off the board. Probably doesn't see play in Wild, but hey, it's got a shot. And Aviana, back to 9 juicy Psych Melon, back to be relevant in Wild. This could be a very relevant Wild buff. I love playing Aviana before Psych Melon came out, but look out for that. This card has a shot. For Hunter, Cobra Shot goes to 4 mana. This card was always unplayable at 5, still be unplayable at 4. Snipe is buffed to deal 6 damage to a minion, makes it more in line with, like, I guess, Explosive Rune. Pretty nice is like an anti-Aviana tech now, since Aviana is up to 9, and good luck trying to beat Psych Melon again. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. Smuggler's Crate, 0 mana, was bad at 1. Maybe at 0 it sees play, but probably only at Twist. Shaky Zip Gunner is a 4/3, probably only makes impact in Twist again. Not going to be a huge Wild player. King of Beasts is now a 3 mana instead of 5 mana. 1 attack, 5 health taunt, has +1 attack for each other beast you have in control. This card was giga unplayable back in the day. It could actually see play possibly in Wild in that like whole beast hunter. It's cheap enough and it scales, so actually could be Wild based. Ball of Spiders gets like the biggest buff ever, going from 6 to 3 mana, which probably should have been when it came out. Probably still not playable, but yeah, a lot better now. Explorer's Hat, 1 mana. Probably doesn't see Wild play, but definitely has a shot. Never saw play at 2. Lock and Load is at 0. I think that started at 2 mana, now 0 mana. Will definitely be Twist playable, probably not Wild playable. Acid Maw goes from 7 to 3 mana, and not only that, it will now only basically destroy enemy minions. It doesn't even affect itself and your own stuff like it used to do. So that is a really, like, probably the largest buff in Hearthstone history. It is pretty ridiculous. Is it playable? maybe it might actually be playable now. I mean, when you buff something that much, you gotta think, just think of how bad it was at 7 that they can make this change. And Dread Scale also, they came together, also getting buffed. Instead of hitting all minions, it just hits enemies. So it goes face for 1 and hits enemy minions as well. You can give this poisonous and wild like a 0 mana spell and other means, making it like its own Tox Fin Flurgle. Also significant change for WoW. These could realistically see play in Wild and certainly going to see play in Twist. Mage, Dalaran, Aspirant now starts with spell damage +1. Way too slow still, but nice little change. Flame Lance, instead of deal 8, it deals 25. It can kill Ultra Soar. Pretty ridiculous. Mana Worm's back to being a 1 attack, 3 health minion. Could very well see play in Wild, although tempo doesn't matter nearly as much as it used to. Spell Slinger now discounts your spell, so a bit more of an upside to playing it. Suit Spewer gets 1 extra health, and if you control another mech, get a random fire spell. So Mech Mage getting support, and it's a pretty good Wild deck already. This one is one that blows my mind. Cabal Crystal Runner goes to 6/5. It's already auto-included Secret Mage in like every deck ever. It's one of the best decks in Wild, and we're buffing it. So definitely they're doing this with Twist in mind, but yeah, Secret Mage getting even better, a little bit ridiculous. Goblin Blast Mage now deals 6, I believe, instead of 4. So a little bit better, but it still doesn't have the mech tag, so I'm not sure about that. Servant of Yogg-Saron casts 5 or more instead of less. So could do some really you could got Puzzle Box, Root of the Archmage, Ultimate Infestation. It's again, Twist basic, but it could see maybe playing well, probably not. Cabalist Tome goes to 4 mana, unplayable at 5 for almost the entire run. Flame Leviathan now has Rush. When you draw this, deal 2 damage to all characters except mechs, so you don't hurt your own board if you're playing Mech Mage in theory. For Paladin, we have Silver Moon Portal going to 3 mana. Never really saw play. Doubt it's Wild basic, but maybe Odd Paladin can run it, so you can look out for that. A Light in the Darkness, discover a Paladin minion, give it +2/+2. A little bit of a stat buff. Way better now that you can't get garbage neutrals, but still probably too slow for at least Wild. Probably okay in Twist. Keeper of Oldemon goes to 3 mana. I could see Odd Paladin playing this now. That is a really crazy buff and will be very impactful in Twist. Steward of Darkshire is a 4 attack, 3 health. Still sees play in like some Odd Paladin lists, and yeah, that card's gonna be very good. Ivory Knight is 2 mana cheaper at 4 mana. Probably doesn't see play in Wild, but again, probably Twist centric. Grime Street Enforcer goes to 4 mana. Could see play in those hand buff Paladin decks that haven't seen much play lately. Probably not enough to push it over the top, but a decent buff. Lay on Hands from 8 to 6 mana. Still drawing 3 and healing 8 for 6. Today's game, not great, but in Twist, probably decent enough. Mysterious Challenger is now a 5/5 for 5 mana. Maybe Secret Paladin makes a comeback in Wild. Definitely will make some noise in Twist. Enter the Colosseum goes from 6 mana to 3 mana. Huge buff. Like, it's almost like better than Brawl for like 3. Like, really solid card. You can play it in Odd Paladin. This could be relevant in Standard, or not Standard, in Wild, as well as Twist, so look out for that. Incredible buff. Wicker Flame Burn Bristle is now a 3/3, one of my favorite cards of all time. Don't know if it's good enough at 3/3, but I hope it is, because it's a really cool card. For Priest, we have Hooded Acolyte, has Taunt now. Whenever characters heal, you buff your Cthulhu. Cthulhu in Wild is going to be way too slow, but it could see play in Twist. Shrinkmeister now gives -3 attack instead of -2. Could be relevant for like Potion of Madness, Cabal Shadow Priest type of stuff. Possibly a relevant buff for both formats. Museum Curator now discovers a Death Rattle card and gives it Mana Cheat. Is that good enough? Not really, but in Twist, absolutely. Darkshire Alchemist is now a 5/5 instead of a 4/5. Minor buff, won't make a difference for Wild, but again, in Twist it could. Onyx Bishop is 4 mana. It can res itself and all of those shenanigans, but for 4 mana, it's pretty decent. Spawn of Shadows is now 5 mana, 5/5, Battle Cry and Inspire. Deal 4 damage to each hero. So you get that initial damage. We used to be 4 mana, so interesting change, and maybe the Rito Priest list or bring that card back in Wild. Convert goes to 3 mana. They have the powered Synchronize card, so it kind of gets changed up. Put a copy of an enemy minion into your hand. It costs 1 less. So it's a bit more, but you get mana cheats that you can bank for later. Shadow Fiend is now a 2-mana 2/3 instead of a 3-mana 3/3. Irrelevant card. I still think it's irrelevant. Shadow Bomber is like a really good card, in Shadow Priest as it is now a 3/1. So huge buff for a really good wild deck, and maybe it sees play in Twist, but another card it's like, yeah, this is not for wild at all because it was already good in wild. And Confessor Palestress also gets the Battle Cry and Inspire treatment, so when you play her, you right away get a random legendary. Way too slow for wild. For Rogue, Jade Swarmer goes to 1 mana. Wasn't great at 2, and it's pretty decent. It can curve into Jade Shuriken and all that, so not too bad. Shadow Pine Rider now gains +4 attack. Absurd stats for the cost. It doesn't even work with Boulder anymore. Boulder Fist Ogre, but you know, it's a Twist relevant for it. Change, definitely not wild. Tomb Pillager, one of my favorite cards ever, is a 6 attack, 4 health minion. We're making 4 mana 6/4s now, apparently. Jade Shuriken deals 3 damage and now summons a Jade Golem. I think we're going to be seeing some Jade support in these new wild cards by the looks of it. Burgle, you get 3 random cards, so you get 1 extra. Not a relevant wild buff, but could see play in Twist. Undercity Huckster, easy 2 mana 2/3 now, which makes it more fragile, which is almost a bad, or less fragile, which is almost a bad thing, but still relevant Twist buff, not so much wild. Dark Arc Iron Skulker was a decent card back in the day, is now 4 mana. Can't play it on Rogue anymore, which where it saw significant play, kind of interesting. Poison Blade, one of the worst cards ever, instead of 4, goes to 2. Blade of Cthulhu goes from 9 to 6. And a Nubarak gets a complete rework fundamentally, going to 8 mana, giving Death Rattle summon a 4/4 Nerubian with Death Rattle summon a Nubarak. So you get the 4/4, then the 8/4, and then the 4/4. You cannot remove this without a silence or some type of transform effect. Before it would go back to your hand, you get a 4/4, this would go back to your hand, you'd have to spend the mana to play it. In Twist, where it's probably gonna be a lot slower, this could be a really good solid win condition against those slower decks, but in wild, way too slow, unless you're cheating it out and making it a 1/1 with Anka or whatever, but probably too slow, but a complete rework of the card. Shaman gets Reincarnate buff to 2 to 1 mana. This is pretty significant. I don't know if it'll have implications in wild, but look out. That could be a relevant buff. Tuskar Totemic goes to 2 mana, so even Shaman gets another really good totem generator. So yeah, pretty scary. Doesn't go back to the old summon any totem, but still, huge buff for even Shaman that probably doesn't need it. Jade Lightning instead of 4, dealing 4, does 3 for 3, get a Jade Golem. Relevant buff, at least for Twist. Wicked Witch Doctor goes to 3. This actually saw play back in the day. Probably doesn't today, but maybe in Twist. Jade Chieftain also saw play back in the day. Goes to 6 mana, 5/5. Very relevant buff, at least for Twist. Again, wild, I don't think Jades are going to make a big comeback unless there's some really good stuff. Thunderblood variant now gets the Battle Cry and Inspire treatment. This card was extremely good. Like Shaman Stone good back in the day. Be curious to see how it plays out in Twist. Calling the Finishers goes to 3 mana, more in line with cards like, you know, the Imp card. So you get Murlocs for that. I'm sure Quest Murloc enjoyers will be happy about that. Healing Wave now restores 8 and 16. Nice buff to some healing. Charged Hammer goes to 3 mana, 2 attack, 3 durability, giving you that new hero power. Is pretty nice. And Halaziel has spell damage +1, so you get even more healing. Probably not relevant in wild, but definitely relevant in Twist. Demon Fuse, one of the worst cards ever, loses its whole mana crystal punishment, so that's pretty good. Just buff a demon. Usher of Souls is now a 4 mana 3/5, which buffs your Cthulhu, which wasn't a super relevant card, but maybe at 4 mana it will be. Dark Bomb, now instead of just dealing 3 damage, if whatever you hit dies, you get a shadow spell, so you can choose to cycle. Actually really like the design. I think it's quite cool. Dark Peddler, in line with the newer version that's kind of worse, to have 3 health, but what it really needs is to get, you know, class specific cards. That's what the buff I would have went with. Spreading Madness is deal 13 damage randomly split among all characters. Still not great, but a lot more damage. Silverware Golem gets a buff. Nobody was asking for that discard Warlock, at least in duels, to get a buff. Hasn't been relevant for a little bit, but still, Tiny Knight at Evil doubles its buff, so look out for that. Discard Warlock might be back in WoW. Those are definitely relevant WoW buffs. Dark Bargain goes to 3 mana. What the fuck is Dark Bargain? Dark Bargain goes to 3 from 6. Still probably not good enough, I don't know, but that's half the mana, so look out for that. It's got discard synergies. Maybe discard Warlocks back in Wild as well as Twist, which it wasn't super relevant back in the day. That's why they're buffing it so hard. You can see these are Twist-centric buffs. Wild is just kind of caught in the crossfires, in my opinion. Bane of Doom deals 3 damage to a character. If that kills it, summon a random demon, so instead of 2. Cruelly Unshackled gets a bunch of stat buffs. It's a 9/9. I don't think that'll matter, but cool. Highlander cards, you always like to see it. For Warrior, I know a guy. Discover Taunt Minion, you also give it some stat buffs, +1/+2. Again, probably not relevant for Wild, but possibly Twist if you're playing. Well, actually, Ungoro Quest isn't out yet in Twist, but maybe in future sets when you're playing the Ungoro Quest. Ironforge Portal, 4 mana instead of 5. Seems reasonable, was never really good even when it came out. Grimy Gadgeteer goes to 3. This was borderline playable at 4 back in the day, so in Twist, I could see it seeing play, not so much in Wild. Axe Flinger goes to a 2/6. Again, more Twist-centric, definitely not Wild-based. Stolen Goods, you draw a Taunt Minion, give it +2/+2 rather than just hand buffing, so that makes this way better, possibly playable in Wild. You never know. Ancient Shield Bearer goes to 6 mana rather than 7. Twist-centric. I don't think you're ever playing a Cthulhu deck unless you're memeing. Owly Armorsmith, a 2/7. Used to be a 2/7, now it's a 3/7. Decent upgrade. Again, Twist-based, won't see much play in Wild. Bouncing Blade, unreliable AoE style card, but good at destroying something big or trying to get in range damage, like on the that 7 Black Hole and Gunspire card, but probably just Twist-centric. Brass Knuckles, good card back in the day briefly. I remember playing it during the beginning of Mean Streets, but I don't see it seeing much play outside of Twist. Iron Juggernaut now has Battlecry and Death Rattle, so theoretically you can play this and your opponent could immediately draw 20 damage. Look out for that. It also shuts off Reno decks in 1, so relevant buff, honestly, in both formats. And for the neutrals, Jade Spear is now a 3/3, not super relevant Wild, definitely in Twist. Worgen Greaser up to a 6/5. We just have a 4 mana 6/5? Worgen Greaser is now a 4 mana 6/5. We have 4 mana 6/5s in the game. No text, nothing. Not playable Wild still, probably, but yeah, we have 4 mana 6/5s. Street Trickster now has +2 spell damage. Probably still unplayable, but hey, that demon needed some extra help. Mookla's Champion is now a 5/3. It's kind of a relevant card back in the day in some Inspired decks. Probably not super relevant in either format. Blackwind Corruptor, one of my favorite cards, now deals 5 damage instead of 3. So just a lot more lethality or impact with it. More relevant in Twist than Wild. Cult Apothecary goes to 4 mana. Nice to get a bit more healing. Twilight Geomancer now also buffs your Cthulhu with stats and taunt, rather than just taunt. Cthulhu's Chosen. Battlecry give your Cthulhu +3/+3. This was already a pretty decent card back in the day. I expect it to be okay in Twist. But yeah, a bit more Cthulhu buffs. Again, I cannot see a world where Cthulhu's going to see play in Wild, where we have like Frog Shaman and all these crazy aggressive decks. I can't see it. Flight of Pain goes to a 1/4. You could draw more cards. Grime Street Informant goes to a 2 mana 2/2. Disciple of Cthulhu goes to a 2 mana 2/2. Sludge Belcher, now a 3/6 instead of a 3/5. Small Time Buccaneer, the card that made me quit Hearthstone. I couldn't stand Mean Streets because I just died to Small Time Buccaneer patches. They buffed it back to be like a 3/2 when you have a weapon up. I'm gonna get PTSD when I play Twist, but yeah, it never saw play after that, so it's back. Probably sees play in Wild maybe now. Probably not good enough even now in Wild, but definitely a Twist. Cabal Courier, which saw lots of play back in the day, is now 2 mana. Again, Twist-centric. Lotus Agents now a 3 mana 3/3. I think it was 5 mana 5/3 before, so look out for that. That's a pretty reasonable buff. Again, mostly going to see play in Twist. Crazed Worshipper is now 4 mana. Emperor Thorson, like arguably this Amalgos, two of my favorite cards of all time. Now 5 mana 4/4 will be super strong in Twist, and in Wild you already cheat a million mana doing other stuff, so I don't see it seem play in Wild. But yeah, really relevant for all those older Twist formats. Twin Emperor Veclord, now a 6/7, so you get a lot more stats for your buck if you have that Cthulhu condition red. Cthulhu is going to 8 mana, the old god, the cheapest old god ever now. The new N'Zoth, or newish, the tribal one, 9 mana. But yes, Cthulhu to 8, still don't think it will have pretty much any impact in Wild, even with all the buffs going on. Although I will do Juicy Psych Melon. Cthulhu's my 8, Aviano's my 9, Kuhn's my 10. But overall, should be very impactful for Twist. Will be a much slower format. But yeah, kind of cool to see them really pushing Cthulhu, as a lot of people really enjoyed that. So look out in Twist, definitely not sold in Wild. Aya Blackpaw now has 6 attack. There's already a really 6 attack, 3 health is already a really good card, but yeah, gets a bit of a buff. It's a good card back in the day. Unplayable now, still unplayable now. And Don Honcho, which even sucked when it came out, is now a 5 mana 5/5, so maybe it has a shot. So that's all the changes. Do I think it makes Wild better? No. I think Wild is even more broken and just gonna be a lot more frustrating, because most of these cards you won't be able to play in Wild because you're gonna die before you can play any of them because we had no balance changes. Twist looks really rad though, because you're gonna have all these new, like, old cards, but like be able to do way more powerful stuff with a twist, right? It's with a twist. So Twist actually looks really cool if you have these cards and all that, but in regards to Wild, I feel like Wild's just gonna be worse. Like, we needed balance, we needed nerfs for Wild, not buffs. And when we're buffing decks like Secret Mage, it's like, tell me you don't play Wild while telling me you don't play Wild. And a lot of these changes to me speak that way, where it's, yeah, we just want our Twist format to be crazy and compelling, and Wild is just kind of in the crosshairs, just like it is with standard changes. So it's like, Wild is just forever going to be the dumping ground for like every format. It's just the way it feels. At least it's the way it feels to me, but I am excited for Twist. And of course, there will be the new cards revealed, I believe on the 22nd, all the new cards that will be made just for this set that aren't buffs. Obviously, we'll go over those and we'll probably rate those. Maybe we'll rate them, I don't know. But I just wanted to give you guys an overview of the changes. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.